My wife said, "Cuddling with my work husband is purely platonic, grow up." Right to my face, I replied, "Okay," canceled her entire birthday weekend without a word, packed away the gifts. That night, someone else recorded her meltdown. Maddox here, 33M, finance manager in Denver. So I've got a situation that's been eating at me for weeks, and I need some perspective on whether I'm losing my mind or if this is as inappropriate as it feels. My wife Lyra, 30F, works as an HR director at a tech startup downtown. We've been married 4 years, and things have been mostly solid. She's smart, career-focused, makes decent money. I handle our household finances since I'm in finance, and she hates dealing with budgets and planning. About 6 months ago, she started talking about this guy Riven from her office. Creative director, single, really gets her in ways most people don't. At first it was just normal work friend stuff. Grabbing lunch, staying late to work on projects together, that kind of thing. Then it escalated. She started staying at work until 8 or 9 p.m. for brainstorming sessions with him. Coming home talking about their deep conversations about life goals and creative vision. When I'd ask about it, she'd light up like a Christmas tree talking about how much she enjoys their intellectual connection. Red flag number 1. Last month, she started mentioning how they've gotten more comfortable with each other. How he's going through a rough time and needs emotional support. How she's one of the few people who really understands his creative process. Red flag number 2. But the real kicker happened 2 weeks ago. I had to drop off some documents at her office after hours, and I found them in the break room. She was sitting on the couch with her head on his shoulder, his arm around her, both of them looking at something on his laptop. When they saw me, they didn't jump apart or look guilty. They just casually shifted position like this was totally normal. "Hey babe," Lyra said, barely looking up. "Riven and I are just reviewing some design concepts for the quarterly presentation." I stood there for a minute, processing what I was seeing. My wife cuddling with another man in her workplace, acting like this was completely appropriate behavior for a married woman. I didn't say anything in the moment, waited until we got home. "So what was that about earlier?" I asked. "What was what about?" "The cuddling session with Riven." Her whole demeanor changed immediately, got defensive, started using HR language on me. "Maddox, that wasn't cuddling. That was 2 colleagues providing emotional support during a stressful project. If you can't understand the difference between platonic intimacy and romantic involvement, that's something you need to work through." Platonic intimacy. That's what she called it. Since when is physical affection with male co-workers part of your job description? Since I started working with someone who actually values emotional intelligence over toxic masculine insecurity, she shot back. Secure men don't feel threatened by their partner having meaningful relationships with other people. The conversation went downhill from there. She pulled out every psychology term she could think of: emotional availability, secure attachment, controlling behavior. Made it clear that my discomfort with her cuddling another man was a me problem, not a her problem. Riven and I have a purely platonic relationship based on mutual respect and creative collaboration. If you don't understand emotional intimacy, that's your issue to work through. Message received loud and clear. Here's the thing though, her birthday is next weekend. I've been planning this elaborate celebration for 2 months. Booked us a suite at the Broadmoor for 3 days, made dinner reservations for 8 of her friends at her favorite restaurant, bought concert tickets for some band she loves, scheduled a spa day. The whole thing is probably going to run me close to $3,000. Now I'm sitting here wondering, why exactly am I funding a celebration for someone who just told me that my feelings about her physical relationship with another man don't matter? She made it very clear where I stand in her hierarchy of relationships. Fair enough. Am I overreacting? Is cuddling with coworkers really just normal workplace behavior that I'm being insecure about? Or is this exactly as inappropriate as it feels? Because right now, I'm leaning toward making some adjustments to her birthday plans. Edit. Getting lots of responses about the platonic intimacy language. Yeah, that's apparently a real term she learned in some corporate workshop about healthy workplace relationships. Convenient how it justifies whatever behavior she wants to engage in. Edit 2. To everyone asking if I've talked to Riven directly, no, my wife made it clear that any attempt to control her friendships would be crossing a line. So I'm working within the boundaries she's established. Update 1. Well, Reddit, I did it. And holy shit, the fallout has been spectacular. After reading all your responses, I realized something important. She didn't just dismiss my feelings about her inappropriate relationship. She actively tried to make me feel crazy for having normal boundaries about my wife cuddling other men. So I decided to test her theory about secure versus insecure men. Friday afternoon, while she was at work having her emotional support session with Riven, I made some phone calls, canceled the Broadmoor suite, canceled dinner reservations for 8 people at restaurant Kevin Taylor, canceled the spa appointment, canceled the concert tickets, got refunds where possible, ate the cancellation fees where necessary. Saturday morning, she's getting ready for her birthday weekend, all excited about our romantic getaway. Suitcase packed, talking about how much she's looking forward to relaxing together. About that, I said. Change of plans. What do you mean? I canceled everything. She just stared at me. You what? The hotel, the dinner, the spa, the concert, all of it. No longer needed. You can't be serious. You were right about secure versus insecure men, I told her. Secure men don't waste money celebrating people who don't respect them. The meltdown was immediate and spectacular. Crying, screaming about how I was ruining her birthday, how could I be so petty, how she'd already told all her friends about the dinner. Call Riven, I suggested. Maybe he can provide some emotional support. That's when she realized I was completely serious. She spent the next hour frantically calling her friends to explain why dinner was canceled. Had to admit that her husband canceled her birthday celebration because of her work friendship. The embarrassment was written all over her face as she made each call. But the real drama happened Saturday evening. See, I didn't just cancel the reservations. I canceled them with a specific reason code, no longer needed due to change in relationship status. So when Lyra and 3 of her friends showed up at restaurant Kevin Taylor anyway, apparently she thought I was bluffing. The hostess had to explain why their table was canceled. According to Thalia, who was there, the conversation went like this. I'm sorry, but that reservation was canceled yesterday afternoon. The note says, no longer needed due to change in relationship status. Lyra tried to argue, tried to get them to honor the reservation anyway, but they were booked solid. Finally broke down crying in the middle of the restaurant while her friends stood there watching. Thalia called me afterward. What the hell is going on, Maddox? Lyra's having a complete breakdown about some work friend and how you're being controlling. Did she mention the cuddling? I asked. Long pause. She what? Turns out Lyra hadn't told her friends the whole story. Just painted me as the unreasonable husband who couldn't handle her having male friends. When the truth came out, that she'd been having intimate physical contact with a coworker and dismissed my concerns as insecurity, the friend group's sympathy evaporated pretty quickly. My phone's been buzzing all weekend with texts from her, ranging from angry to pleading to threatening, but I haven't responded to any of them. Stellan, my best friend, came over Sunday with beer and wings. Dude, I can't believe you actually did it. She told me secure men don't feel threatened by their partner's meaningful relationships. So I proved how secure I am by not funding a celebration for someone who prioritizes another man's emotional needs over her husband's basic boundaries. How do you feel about it? Honestly, relieved. For weeks I've been questioning myself, wondering if I was being unreasonable or controlling. But her reaction to losing her birthday celebration showed me everything I needed to know about her priorities. She's not upset that she hurt me. She's upset that there were consequences. Edit, people asking about the money. Yeah, I'm out about $800 in cancellation fees. Worth every penny to see her explain to her friends why her husband canceled her birthday. Edit 2. To those saying I went nuclear too fast, this wasn't an isolated incident. This was the culmination of months of boundary violations and gaslighting. The birthday was just the most expensive symbol of my investment in someone who doesn't invest in our marriage. Update 2. So after the restaurant fiasco, I figured things would calm down and we'd have some kind of adult conversation about boundaries and respect. Maybe couples therapy, maybe separation, but some kind of resolution. I was wrong. Monday morning, Lyra came home with a new strategy, financial warfare. Since you want to play games with our money, she said, I'm taking control of the household accounts. You clearly can't be trusted with financial decisions. That's when I had to break some news to her. Actually, you can't do that. What do you mean I can't? The accounts are in my name. You're an authorized user, not a joint owner. The look on her face was priceless. 4 years of me managing our finances, and she'd never bothered to check whose name was actually on the paperwork. You can't do that. That money is half mine. The money you contribute is half yours. The money I contribute is mine. Right now, your access is a privilege, not a right. She threatened to call her lawyer. I told her to go ahead. We can have this conversation through attorneys if she prefers. But the real nuclear option happened Tuesday afternoon. She tried to get Riven to take her side in this whole thing. Asked him to call me and explain how their relationship is purely professional, and that I was being unreasonable. Riven, to his credit, refused to get involved in our marriage drama. Told her that he thought their relationship had gotten too intense anyway, and maybe they should keep things more professional going forward. That's when she realized her emotional support system was built on quicksand. The workplace situation has become a complete shit show. Word got around the office about why her birthday dinner was canceled, and suddenly everyone's looking at her work-husband relationship differently. Turns out, several other employees had been uncomfortable with their dynamic, but hadn't said anything. HR got involved, not because anyone complained, but because Lyra started having emotional breakdowns at work when Riven started pulling back. Crying in meetings, calling in sick because she was too upset to focus. Wednesday, her friend Jessica called me directly. Maddox, what really happened with Lyra's birthday? Because she's telling everyone different versions of the story. So I told her. The whole thing, the cuddling, the dismissal of my concerns, the Platonic intimacy lecture. Holy shit, Jessica said. She never mentioned any of that. She made it sound like you canceled her birthday because she had lunch with a male coworker. Did she mention that she owes you money for the canceled dinner? Long pause. She what? Turns out, Lyra had asked several friends to split the dinner bill since they'd already planned for it. Never mentioned that the cancellation was my doing, let them think it was a mutual decision that we were now asking them to fund. Jessica spread the word. By Thursday, 3 of Lyra's friends were demanding she pay them back the money they'd fronted for her birthday celebration. Friday evening, Kale, my brother, came over for our usual beer and basketball game. He went through a similar situation with his ex-wife. Emotional affair that started with a coworker, ended with divorce. The thing about emotional affairs, he said, is that they're based on fantasy, all the connection without any of the real-world responsibility. But the second you introduce consequences, like having to fund your own romantic relationship, reality hits pretty hard. Think she'll learn from this? Honestly, probably not. But you will. You'll learn that you don't negotiate with people who fundamentally don't respect you. Saturday morning, Lyra packed a bag and went to stay with her sister. Before leaving, she gave me one final lecture about how I'd destroyed her birthday and her workplace relationships, because I couldn't handle her having meaningful connections with other people. You're right, I told her. I can't handle funding celebrations for people who prioritize other relationships over our marriage. She slammed the door so hard it rattled the windows. House has been quiet since then. And honestly, it's peaceful. No more walking on eggshells about her work schedule. No more listening to her gush about Riven's creative genius. No more being made to feel crazy for having normal boundaries. My phone's still getting occasional texts from her, but they've shifted from angry to pleading. Apparently reality is setting in about the financial and social consequences of choosing your work husband over your actual husband. Too little, too late. Edit. Lots of people asking if I feel guilty about the friend group drama. Honestly, she created that drama by lying to them about what actually happened. I just provided context. Edit 2. To those asking about next steps, I've got a consultation with a divorce attorney next week. Not because I want to end the marriage, but because I want to understand my options if she doesn't want to address the fundamental respect issues. Final update. Hey Reddit. Been getting DMs asking for the final chapter of the birthday cancellation saga, so here's where everything ended up. Spoiler alert, we're divorced. The separation became permanent about 6 weeks after she moved out. Turns out, when you remove the financial foundation from someone's fantasy relationship, The whole thing collapses pretty quickly. Here's what happened to Lyra's platonic intimacy with Riven. It lasted exactly 2 weeks after she lost access to our shared income. See, her idea of emotional support involved a lot of expensive lunch dates, after-work drinks, weekend creative collaboration sessions, at trendy cafes. When she had to start funding those activities from her own paycheck, they suddenly became a lot less appealing. Riven, meanwhile, started dating someone new almost immediately. Turns out he was never as invested in their deep emotional connection as she thought. He just liked having a married woman provide ego validation without any commitment expectations. Classic. The workplace situation became completely untenable. Lyra ended up transferring to their Portland office after the Denver team made it clear that her emotional instability was affecting productivity. Apparently, watching someone have daily breakdown over their work husband dating someone else isn't great for team morale. But here's the part that really validated my decision. 3 different women from our social circle reached out to thank me. Jessica was first. Watching you set actual boundaries with financial consequences taught me something important about my own relationship. My husband has been taking my financial contributions for granted while prioritizing his gaming buddies over our marriage plans. Then came Sarah, who'd been dealing with her husband's platonic female friendships for years. I never realized I had the option to stop funding behavior that disrespects our marriage until I saw you do it. Most surprisingly, Thalia called me about 2 months after the divorce was finalized. "I owe you an apology," she said. "I thought you were being controlling and petty about the birthday thing, but watching Lyra's complete personality change when she lost access to your money, Jesus, Maddox. She wasn't the person any of us thought she was." The divorce itself was straightforward. Colorado's a no-fault state, but since I'd been handling all our finances and documentation, I had a clear picture of assets and debts. Lyra kept her 401k and her car. I kept the house and my retirement accounts. No alimony since we both have careers. She tried to argue for spousal support during the proceedings, claiming she'd become accustomed to a certain lifestyle, funded by my income. Her lawyer basically laughed her out of the room when the judge heard that she'd been spending marital funds on workplace relationships, while dismissing her husband's concerns as insecurity. As for me, life is honestly better than it's been in years. Work performance improved dramatically once I wasn't spending mental energy managing someone else's emotional affairs. Got promoted to senior finance manager in January, partly because I could finally focus on actual work instead of relationship drama. Started dating again about 2 months ago. Met Amanda through a hiking group. She's a physical therapist, divorced, has her own career and her own boundaries. When I told her about the Lyra situation, her response was perfect. Wait, she called cuddling with a male coworker platonic intimacy, and then got mad when you stopped funding her social life. That's not a wife. That's an expensive roommate with boundary issues. Amanda pays for her own drinks when we go out. Introduces me to her friends proudly. Doesn't have any work husbands providing emotional support that she refuses to discuss. Revolutionary concepts, apparently. The financial control aspect has been interesting too. I always handled our household budget because I'm good with money, and Lyra hated dealing with it. But I realize now that she saw my income as her automatic right, not something I was choosing to share with someone who respected our partnership. Amanda and I split expenses proportionally based on our incomes. When she contributes to dinner or vacations, it's because she wants to be a partner, not because she expects me to fund her lifestyle while she invests her emotional energy in other relationships. About a month ago, I ran into Lyra at a coffee shop downtown. First time we'd seen each other since the divorce papers were signed. She looked worn down, tired. Hair wasn't as polished as she used to keep it. "Maddox," she said, clearly caught off guard. "How are you?" "Really well, actually." "I heard about your promotion. Congratulations." "Thanks." Awkward pause, then. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened. About us. I think I understand now why you were so upset about Riven." "Do you?" "I was prioritizing someone else's emotional needs over my husband's legitimate concerns about our marriage. And when you tried to address it, I made you feel crazy instead of listening." For a moment, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. "I hope you figure it out with the next guy," I said. "There isn't a next guy," she admitted. "Turns out when you have a reputation for emotional affairs and financial entitlement, your dating options get pretty limited. That's when I realized what had really happened. She'd traded a stable marriage with someone who loved her for the ego boost of male attention that evaporated the moment it required actual commitment or sacrifice. Well, I said, good luck with everything. I meant it. Not because I wanted to reconcile, but because holding on to anger about someone who's no longer affecting your life is just wasted energy. Amanda was waiting in the car when I got back with our coffee orders. Run into anyone interesting? She asked. My ex-wife, actually. Oh, wow. How was that? Educational, I said. Then I told her about the conversation. Her response? Sounds like she learned some expensive lessons. Her loss, definitely my gain. That's what partnership looks like. Someone who values what you bring to the relationship and doesn't treat your contributions as automatic entitlements. The guys at work keep asking me how I knew when to walk away, how to set boundaries that actually mean something. The answer is simple. Stop negotiating with people who fundamentally don't respect you. She told me I was insecure for not understanding her emotional intimacy. Turns out I understood perfectly. I was just funding a relationship I wasn't invited to. Now she can cuddle her work husband all she wants. On her own dime. Life's good, Reddit. Really good.